You can find her on YouTube. You can find the podcast. You can follow her on Twitter. Vashti Hurt. Carolina Blitz joining us now on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Vashti, what's going on?
Hey, Joe. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I see you've got the black polo on. Is that kind of like in reference to the fact that we're getting the all-black unis on Thursday night for the Panthers?
No, it's just my favorite polo. But, yeah, I mean, I've always liked aesthetically how the all-black unis look. The Panthers just haven't performed well in them historically.
But
so we'll see if they
the black helmet, though, Vashti. The black helmet.
You know, I got an up-close and personal look at it just like 30 minutes ago in the locker room. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's not as matte black as I wanted it to be.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because the pictures do make it look like it's got that nice matte to it, but it's not like that?
It's a matte, but it has like a buff type finish. And to me, it takes away from the hardness of it. Like if it was true matte, it would be tough.
All right. I'm with you on that. I agree with you on that. Vashti Hurt, Carolina Blitz joining us here on the OG. Panthers back in action on Thursday night against the Atlanta Falcons. It's unfortunate that I don't want to say the Atlanta game broke them, the way that kind of ended, because there was hope to still be in the division race had they beaten Atlanta. But now at 2-7, while they're still kind of technically in it, I think they're 2 games out with this game coming up. It's almost at 2-7. They're 2-4 gone. What's the general vibe in the room now after what happened against Cincinnati, the tough, heartbreaking loss against Atlanta, and this quick turnaround now against the Falcons this Thursday?
I mean, it seems like the vibe is still that they aren't out of it. I think that they're clinging to that hope that, the NFC South is just so bad this season that they have a chance at winning if they perform up to, or if they execute is a word that I hear a lot, if they execute their game plan. So it doesn't seem as if guys are down. They seem the same as they have seemed every week. There's a sense of hope. Maybe not as much as there was after that Atlanta loss, because they did play so well in it, and it did go into overtime. But I don't think that guys are hanging their head. I still think that there's a shot.
Are you surprised they're going back to PJ Walker on Thursday? I mean, is there the 70% of the snaps equation for Baker Mayfield they're taking into place? I know they've activated Sam Darnold. I got to imagine we're going to see Sam Darnold before the season's out. But what do they do with Baker Mayfield at this point?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield will be the backup. I'm not shocked that Coach Wilks decided to stick with P.J. Walker. I actually think it was a smart move. If you bench a guy for one bad quarter after what P.J. had done in previous outings,
sure.
Then you run the risk of losing your locker room after you've already had guys rally behind P.J. I think that, though, if he has another bad half, they go to Baker. And if Baker performs as he did at in the second half of the Cincinnati game, which was decent, albeit against, second string guys for the Bengals mainly, I think that they'll roll with Baker potentially. It's like I don't know, a fruit salad of quarterbacks. I guess you pick what works at the time.
It's the worst fruit salad I've ever seen.
I know, right?
I feel like this is the fruit salad at the K&S cafeteria that's been sitting there all day. You don't want that. You don't want that.
With only melon and maybe some green grapes.
Yeah, the green grapes that are getting a little brown there. You don't want that. Right. You definitely don't want that. I see what you're saying. And I guess that's what the question going forward is at quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Like, I can't imagine that Sam Darnold wants to come back as a backup, even though it's pretty established what he's going to be. Baker probably is looking at saying, look at my circumstances, right? I'm coming from the Browns who didn't want me anymore because they were hell-bent on getting Deshaun Watson. I get traded to a team where I take a pay cut, only to have the head coach get fired and maybe they don't know how to utilize me. I got to imagine that Baker truly feels he still has something left. Sam might be a little bit different. So it really comes down to just how comfortable is P.J. Walker being the backup with whatever the Panthers do moving forward at quarterback. That has to be the way it's being seen, right?
Well, I think P.J. Walker will be happy, and I think he's happy to be in the league. This is a guy who was just in the XFL before Matt Rule signed him a couple of years ago. So I think that P.J. Walker is perfectly fine with a backup role. He said today when I asked him, he says he's been benched before, and he's been the backup quarterback, basically his entire NFL career. aside from these last few weeks. So I think that he's comfortable. Now, Sam and Baker, the jury is still out. I think those guys still want to compete. I don't know if they've come to grips with, the reality that they may not be starting quarterbacks for any team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But if you want to cash that check, you got to play the role. And if they have to play the role of backup, then I'm sure they'll do that for a few million a year.
Vashti, Carolina Blitz, joining us here on the OG. I'm Joe Ovias. Giglio out today. He'll be back tomorrow. He's got a little bit of a cold right now, so he's resting right now. So I am curious. It's not just in the Panthers locker room, but I got to imagine when you talk to other people around the league that they're all looking at the Colts going, they did what now with Jeff Saturday? I mean, I'm sure there's got to be somebody over at Bank of America Stadium that's going, man, look at my resume. Maybe I should have put in for the interim coach job with the Panthers ahead of Steve Wilks or something like that. I got to imagine that this one is confusing many people in terms of who you're talking to.
Absolutely. With coaches, they spend a lot of time in this league, decades, just trying to get a shot. And a lot of them, unfortunately, stay in position type roles with no real opportunity to move up to even a coordinator position. So for Saturday to come in, although he had, a good NFL career as a player with very limited coaching experience, it's a slap in the face to all of those guys who have grinded it out and paid those dues. Steve Wilks was asked about it today in his press conference, and he steered clear away from that. He did not, there is still a pending lawsuit to which Steve Wilks is attached. And, he said, I'm worried about Atlanta, but in the back of their heads, I know these guys, these coaches was like, bruh, really?
I got to imagine that Steve Wilks, what he really wanted to do when getting asked that question was be like, this is what I'm trying to tell you.
Exactly. But, he can't do that right now. He has to say he's preparing for Atlanta. But, maybe we'll read the book one day.
Do you think if David Tepper saw one of your tweets and said, Vashti, she might be onto something here. Yeah, maybe she should be the play call. You think that might happen?
I'd never get that shot. We would do it. We would only keep blitzing. That's it.
All right, Vashti, I appreciate the time. As always, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me.